Hageman's got some good thoughts.
He had a good paper it is. I enjoyed it. It talked about it was like 20 reasons why failing urban school districts are like a kind of like a business or something.
I like
It's
a
pretty
lot of what he
interesting.
says about bottom-up thinking. You know, keep
Is that
it
Charles Way?
student-centered, and you know, no matter what's coming from the top down towards you, as in the building leaders, we've got to keep it focused on student achievement.
Some reminders to start off. Make sure you go into Avatar, and I'll email this to the other individuals to complete the end of session survey. And again, remind you, sticking with our norms, honestly works with the survey, so we'll know how to improve as we move forward. And assignment number 4 is due on the 16th, and I've had some real good dialogue with you all around your data analysis and your plans on moving forward. All of this is about replicating the real world as much as possible. It shows, and it's better to show on this end so you can get better as you move forward. Perhaps while your video camera is rolling, there are some other aha moments or some good talking points or discussion points that will that can help us all learn and grow. If your team maybe reacts to something in a different kind of way, if you're caught in the moment reacting or being proactive or whatever the case may be, you can upload that, and so we can just make sure that it's distinguished between what your assignment is, and then if there's another video out there that may eventually end up on Epic or maybe in New York that we can share across the board, who knows?
I think that I'm at what you would call a somewhat successful school. We've made our annual yearly progress 8 years in a row, but we do not have a data-driven culture. When even breaking it down and doing your 7th grade goals and 8th grade goals and your different teams and departments and things like that, then don't we have to get inside this data to start making progress?
It's not a closed conversation. It's always been closed. The teacher gave a test, the child got the paper back, had red marks on it, you got a 50. No conversation really. And now we're having deep conversations, and I think it's very urgent.
The majority of my class is doing really well, but the majority never gives you a total number. You know, majority is that 30% of the class, is that a 75%, and the conversations have always been so vague. So I think with the data being the gauge, or actually numbers being a gauge, or children knowing exactly where their gauge is, and having a culture where everyone owns their data, the teachers know what is affected, the proficiency levels, children know the proficiency levels, where everything is transparent.
Yeah.
So it's always been a fact of just an idea, a personal observation, you know, where it says teacher assessment, basically teacher observation. Everything is teacher observation. So everything has been based on teacher observation with no real numbers or anything to connect to where is this really leading me. Give me a total number of. So I think that that's what has been happening.
And maybe we can play a part of establishing the culture to where we are comfortable in challenging each other.
Back to what you were saying, Melissa, as far as trying to avoid that that individual mentality, that subjective sort of view where I just look at my data and say, okay, well, this is obviously what the problem is, versus you guys might see something totally different. And it's, you know, kind of approaching more of that objective team sort of approach and saying, all right, 6 of us sit down. We all notice my scores may be lower than everybody else as well. Let's focus on that and see what you guys can do to help me to possibly bring those scores up. And I think it kind of ties into that accountability as well when you start working with your teams and you start really dissecting that data in an objective manner. And I think that kind of ties into the cultural piece down the road. Once you start doing these things, I think you'll start seeing that culture in your school change once you start focusing on that data-driven instruction. So.
Teachers have to make children come out of that box of being that child who sits in the corner and never has anything to say or never gives any input and never can explain their learning. But a part of that has been teachers hypothesizing different scenarios and saying, well, what do you think would happen with this? And children actually grabbing information from one another. We call it stealing information. Even if you didn't have that idea in your head yourself, steal the idea from someone else and borrow another from another person and now make it your own. So we've been doing something like that. And teachers ask them, so why do you think you didn't do well on this discovery assessment or that common assessment last week? And then children have to talk with each other about, well, I really don't think I used the strategy that we were using in class. So the discourse this year is like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I am so
Your face
thrilled.
says it.
I am so thrilled. Because just this morning when I walked into a third grade class, and these are third graders coming from second grade last year who weren't talking much about data or even able to do, assessments or, the type of assessment that we're doing this year. So this is brand new to them. So these third graders in December, the 1st of December, are talking to me saying, this is what I made on my discovery test, and I was only 3 points away, and I'm going to work next time. I'm going to work harder on going back in the passage looking for the keyword. This is what third graders were saying to me. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you have to have
I
a lot
feel
of
so
growth
thrilled to
mindset
know that
teachers.
that's what we are pushing, and children are just owning their own data.
Yes.
You have to.
Yes, I'm not getting the job done. I'm responsible for my results. How can we develop a plan?
What worked when I first started teaching is not working now. So you're afraid to say, well, I need to change. I need to get into this. I need to get into that, because the kids are so different now. Teaching and learning is completely
The
different.
world's so different.
It's so
Right.
different now.
Right.
And if we're stuck, and then because you've been teaching for 20 years, you feel like you can't learn anything from this new teacher who's fresh out of the box. So it's
Yes, you can.
you really have, and really you can.
And I'm coming from Hyde Park in Memphis, Tennessee, in an area where people will say, oh, those children can't do it. They can't do it. They can't achieve it. I have children in my building. Yes, they can. No matter their economic situations or parents who don't help them with homework at home and they don't bring homework back. These are where our children are, so don't tell me that it can't happen. It can be done.
Establish the culture to where we're comfortable with openly discussing our vulnerabilities, our deficiencies in instruction. Are we comfortable with dealing with ourselves to become growth-minded? Nope. Are we the liaison to bridge that gap?
Yes.
To where we're comfortable?
Are we ready to do that?
We got a lot on our shoulders.
I still want the A.
That's
I still want the
right.
A. I want the product to be great. It's
Right.
more. It's not.
Exactly.
Teacher
I mean,
in
that's a huge.
Perfect.
That's in your.
See, I got out of that when I became a mother.
What'd you say?
I said, we need each other. Please. I need you, team.
Look at the people around me through that sort of lens as well, as that we're the ones that can make a difference in their lives. And if we don't, there's a good chance a lot of these kids, like you were saying earlier, might slip through the cracks, and some of them may never have that opportunity to become something or improve themselves like we'd like them to do. And I guess kind of just seeing the people around me, looking through that lens and looking at them in that same sort of way that, all the teachers in my building, same sort of idea. And I guess it kind of bothers me a lot. And kind of one of the reasons why I'm looking at the leadership side of things is that it bothers me when I see someone that doesn't take that responsibility seriously. When I hear, it's these kids' fault, well, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just the way it's going to be, that sort of mentality. And I guess that's what kind of really bothers me about it, and why I would why I want to step up and make a difference in that perspective, as far as to kind of change that culture in the schools and with the people that I work with.
Last year, Bill Gates came to our school and sat in the library, and we did have a conversation. And we did feel a little bit of pressure because he was asking questions about what we want and how we think we're going to achieve it. And I feel that we don't have any time to waste. Our students are dropping out every day, out of school, out of life, so we don't have the luxury of time.
You can be poor as a church mouse and be a billionaire by the time you're 30, easily, by what you know. And here's where we start to know stuff. When you come in the classroom, you start to build on that. So it's important to me to push my students in that direction, because I keep telling them, I want one of you to send Air Force One to pick me up. When you become president, you can do that. You can do that. So we need to take advantage of that, and I want you to see it like I see it. Go for it.